For this tutorial, I'm going to be looking at subroutines, also known as subprograms in Turing, and we're going to be looking at a specific type of subprogram called a procedure. Unlike many of my tutorials, I'm actually going to start with some pre-existing code for this program, just to save some time. So I'm going to start off with a procedure that's already written. Let me take care of the formatting here though. So there we go, the procedure is written. This is a procedure that I actually constructed in a previous tutorial where I introduced the idea of procedures. And this is a simple procedure that waits for the user to be ready to continue. And then I've created a very artificial program down here in my main program, which is going to basically say the program's starting and then we'll wait for the user to be ready. The program running, we'll wait for the user to be ready. The program ending, we'll wait for the user, and then we declare the end of the program. So when I run this, it's very simple, ready to continue, Y or N. If I say N, it just keeps asking me, and if I say Y, it moves on to the next step. So now the program is running. If I say Y again, the program is ending. If I say no, or if I say anything else, it still keeps asking me until I finally say yes, and then I've got end of program. Now, this type of procedure is known as a procedure with no parameters. And what that really refers to is the contents of these brackets. So you may have noticed that when I first wrote this procedure, assuming you went through my previous tutorial, I wrote it with these round brackets, but I didn't put anything in there. So with a procedure, we actually have to, or we don't have to, but we have the option to provide some additional information to help the procedure do its job. So in this case, I'm going to provide the additional information of I'm going to choose a different string that the user has to enter for them to be ready to continue each time. And again, this is not a very realistic program, but hopefully it will illustrate to you what do I mean by passing a parameter. So the first thing I need to do is in my procedure, I need to tell the procedure what kind of information it needs to receive from the calling main program. So what kind of information is that? Well, if I'm going to specify that, let's say I'm going to actually start to fill some stuff in here. So let's say we've got program starting. The program won't continue until the user enters the word start. And then the program won't continue until the user enters the word run. And then the program won't continue until the user enters the word end. So again, the situation is very artificial here, but let's try to imagine a program where the user input is going to change, but in each case we're going to wait for that specific word. So what is it that we are passing? What kind of information are we passing to this routine or to this subprogram? And in this case, it's a string. So we are going to pass it I'm going to call it the ready word, and that's a string. And so what I've put into this bracket here is now known as a parameter. I've said that I'm going to give it a parameter that's a string. Start, run, end, those are all strings. And in my procedure, I'm going to refer to that string as ready word. So there's a couple of things that I'm going to have to change here, which is ready to continue. Instead of it being a yes/no answer, this is actually going to be something more like, I'm going to have to say enter, and then I'm going to enter the ready word to continue. And that's what I'm going to wait for the user to enter. And then I'm going to get whatever word the user enters. That's still the variable ready. And then I'm going to exit when ready is equal to the ready word, whatever that is. And then I continue. So let's take a look at this program running, make sure that I've done everything correctly. So the first one tells me enter start to continue. So if I say A or B or C, nothing happens. But if I type in the word start, now it's running. Enter run to continue. So A, B, C, nothing works. But if I type in run, it continues. Now it finally says enter end to continue. A, B, C, D, E, F has no effect, but if I type in the word end, I reach end of program. So take a look at this code one more time. I have specified in my procedure, in the definition of my procedure, in this case I have specified one parameter. It's possible to have more than one parameter, but with this example we're just focusing on one. And you can see that I provide that parameter in my main program when I call ready to continue. So I call ready to continue and I give it the parameter, which is a string called start. So that means that ready word is going to be the string start when I run this procedure. Then when I call it with the string called run, I have the word run here and the string called end. So there is an introduction to procedures which use parameters, and you can see I've illustrated this with 3 different calls to this procedure, each one using a different parameter.